All right, guys, welcome back for another episode of the A Better Me Equals a Better We podcast. I am your host, Trey. Super excited to be back with you guys again for another week. Episode 21. We're already at 21. It feels amazing, right? Episode 21. This episode is titled, When Do the Birds Leave the Nest? When do the birds leave the nest, right? As some people would say, when you kick them out, when do you kick them out, right? So I'm super excited to talk to you guys about this. I think this is one of those topics that we talk about, but not really talk about, indirectly talk about, and we kind of dance around it, right? Until it's time to actually give them that little scoop, out the nest, right? And then now everybody look around like, what's going on, right? So I'm super excited to talk about this with you guys. Super excited to hear your opinion on this. And I brought two wonderful ladies with me to share their opinion on this topic. And again, I want you guys to share your opinion on this topic in the comments. I need to hear what you guys think, right? So without further ado, Cam, can you introduce yourself for our viewers and tell them a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So I'm Cam. I am very excited to be here today. I've been on the podcast one time before. Trey and the whole team is doing a great job, so I'm excited to be here. What about me? I'm sure I'll talk a lot about me and my life throughout this podcast, so I'll leave it at that for now, but glad to be here.
Nice. And it's always great to hear that we're doing a good job. Myself as well as the team, we work really hard to try to make this as best as possible, as clean as possible, as beautiful as possible. You guys see the little screen things we got going on, right? So we're trying. So Tiffany, why don't you introduce yourself to our viewers and tell them just a little bit about yourself?
All right. You can hear me good, right? Can you see me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Hi, I'm Tiffany. What can I say? This is my second time on the show. I'm really excited, especially about this topic. Just ready to have some fun. Mom of one, working mom, working woman. Entrepreneur. Yeah, so I'm ready to have some fun.
See, that entrepreneur word, when I hear people say entrepreneur, I automatically think money, right? So when she said entrepreneur, I was about to text her on the side, like, let me hold something. Because entrepreneurs, that means you got several strings of income. So I need a whole little something, right? So, so dive right into the topic, right? When should the birds leave the nest? Now, as you guys know, me personally, I really always like to start from the very beginning, right? Where does things start? Where do they begin? How does these thought process, formulate and stuff like that? So we're going to keep that same trend and start right there, right? So before the birds actually leave the nest, right, there are a lot of things that happen before that, like, what's the climate like in the house? How are things are when you're raised, right? So Cam, in your personal experience, right, were you ever actually groomed? Like, do you feel like the climate in your house growing up was like, all right, one day they're going to give me the boot and the clock is ticking down for me to get up out of here? Once I turned 18, like that's like the matter 18, you got to get up out of here. Like, what was the climate like in your house when the conversation was kind of like, when it's time to leave the nest?
So actually, for me, it was opposite. My parents, they didn't really want me to go. Like I was trying to go, and they didn't want me to go. So I think for me, college was kind of that barrier where I could leave the nest and kind of like spread my wings a little bit, but I wasn't all the way out there, right? So you come home during winter breaks, holiday breaks, and stuff like that. And it's like you're right back into the same routine that you were before you left, kind of, and then you get to go back to college. So that's kind of how my transition happened. It wasn't like I turned 18. They were like, all right, time to go. They were kind of like, you sure? Wait a little while. Why leave right now? You got all your life. So that was my struggle. It really still is my struggle sometimes.
Right. And it's so funny because we talk about like people being kicked to the curb, right? And in the video that I did prior to this, the promo for this, it was just kind of like some people do it a little too early, some people do it a little too late, right? And because you got those parents who are like, leave, what, why, like, and then you on the other end, like, let me go, like I'm ready to go be right, I'm ready to go be great, right? So Tiffany, what was your experience like in that same atmosphere, right? Like, was it ever a point where you felt like, all right, the clock is ticking. I know that at some point, when I reach a certain age, it's going to be time for me to go.
Yeah. So for me, it kind of was like the same as Cam. So my mother really just preferred me to stay in the house, but she also was a very supportive woman. So after turning 18, I was, of course, living with you guys for my last year of high school. And then since she was already in Connecticut, and they bought a house in Connecticut, she already let me stay with you guys. So I kind of had the experience of like not living with my parents, and I got a little comfortable with that. So I ended up moving out and getting my first place at 19. So even though my mother wanted me to stay, she still supported me and let me try things, because she always said to me, you always know what you could come back to. So if you want to give it a try, go ahead. And I feel like I was really mature for my age too. So I was handling a lot of my business like by myself. So, I already kind of had like a mature personality compared to some other people. So, when I ended up moving out, I was young, got a room, first friend with their own place. And yeah, my mother just always supported me, even though she kind of probably, she always would talk to me and be like, this could happen, that could happen. You sure you're ready for it? And I just told her like, I'll just try mine. If I don't like it, I'll just come home. She always loved for me to come home. So she was always ready. Like, come home. If you're ready, come home. If you don't like it, come home. If it ain't working, come home. So she was real supportive of just letting me try different things and having my own experience in life.
And what I really like, one of the things that I like that you really said was that you did this at 19, and I'm sure that Cam, it was around the same age for you when we talk about college and stuff like that, right? What was the preparation like when we talk about the beginning and the very early stages, right? Did your parents give you guys any preparation prior to you guys now being out in the real world? Because that's one of the things that I feel like in our generation that we see a lot is people saying that my parents didn't tell me about this. They didn't tell me about this. Tell me about this. And then I got out in the real world and it was like, what the heck is going on? Like, you mean to tell me I got to do this? You mean to tell me I got to do that? Like, you mean to tell me myself don't pay itself? Like, I thought it just stay on. Like what was going on, right? So, Cam, for you, what was the preparation like to kind of prepare you for that step? And did you feel prepared when it was time for you to like go to college and leave the nest?
So to your point, sometimes you can feel like, oh, wait, they didn't tell me all these things. And my parents kind of took that mentality early. They were like, you know what? I could spend all my life trying to remember all the things to teach you. So I'd rather just show you and have you learn by watching us. So, if my mom was cooking, my dad was cooking, like, oh, come over here, cook this. Let me tell you how to do that. My parents, they have always had businesses together. So sometimes if it had to do with like putting the data in QuickBooks or whatever, like my mom would be like, come here, do this for us. Like they kind of taught me and prepared me by having me do. And that's good because a lot of people, people learn by seeing, by doing different ways. I'm a doer. Like I have to do it. Even when I'm driving, like if I'm not driving, I have no idea how we got there. So that's kind of how I got prepared.
Yeah. Hands-on experience is really, really key, right? And I really like that in the sense of it. So if anybody's watching this and you have a business or you go to work every day, and there are a lot of things that we leave our kids out of, like, they're young, they don't understand this. Even certain things like paying bills. Me personally, growing up, especially once cell phones came out and everybody had a cell phone, Once everybody in my house had a cell phone, if the house phone rang, do not pick it up. It's nobody but a bill collect. Like, don't we picking the house phone up, right? And those were the things that we saw, and I guess by seeing, we were kind of taught, right? So as I got older, it was like, and certain numbers would call my phone. When I started accumulating my own bills, it was like, Bill, I'm not answering this. This is a bill collector, right? So showing your kids proper habits, like, you know what, pick up the phone, call this person. This is how you schedule this meeting. This is how you do this. If you make T-shirts, if you make jewelry, if you're somebody, you know, a bunch of a list of the list goes on, because there's so many entrepreneurs these days. Don't feel bad to teach your kid how to do it, because that's how we're gonna learn. Like, there's only one way to learn. So Tiffany, in your experience, because I know it was a little different in the sense that Cam went to college, but you actually had like this is my place. Like, this is where I stay. This is my casa. What was that like for you? Like, and did you feel prepared, and did you feel like everything leading up to that point, like your mom had kind of like put those things in place for you to be prepared to be out on your own?
So my mother gave me as much advice as she can. She would tell me like, all right, you're gonna have to pay these bills, you're gonna have to be on time, because if you don't, you're gonna mess up, you know, a lot of things. You know, she would try to explain to me like, oh, this is what I experienced, I don't want you going through the same thing. But of course, us being young, we think we know everything. So once I did get my own place, and you know, and I was working, it was like, it just really hit me like, oh, this is real. Like, to the point I even had to call my mom to apologize. Like, I'm so sorry for the things that I did and the way that I treated you and just brushed you off when it came to you telling me certain things, because the reality is like, it's real. Like, I learned what a struggle is. Like, I learned what it was like to like want something and I couldn't get it because I have to pay this bill on time. Like, really learning to be responsible. And yeah, so she tried. She really did. And I feel like every parent tried. They'll talk to the kid, they'll repeat things 1,000 times, but of course we always feel like we already know everything, we know what we're doing. You know, it's not until like I really, really got out there that, you know, it showed me like what life really is. And I was just ready to go back to high school and ready to just go back to my mom's house, because I didn't want these bills no more.
I'm telling you, and it's so funny because when we in high school, we can't wait to be grown. Like, and I see a bunch of different memes where it's like, bro, like if I knew what I knew now, like I wanted to be grown so bad. Right? I wanted to be grown so bad. That's what I thought I wanted. But now, man, take me back to third period. Right now, I'll go, I'll do it. I'll take all the regions. Take me back right now, right? So
like
I like how
time.
right. I'll do everything right. Like I'll go to, and then see, for me, I love gym class, right? But I know a lot of girls was like, nah, I cut gym. I ain't really care for gym too much. Like, I bet you y'all all go to gym class now, right? Get that uniform, go to gym class. Y'all look, curfew. When your parents had that curfew, y'all was like, nope, I'll be a good kid this time. Please, master. Master, please, I'll be good. I'll be. Yeah, and we all in on time doing everything right, because now we look at this. I'm telling you, and then Natalie said in our comments, adulthood is so ghetto. I promise you, I don't know no other way to put it. It's just ghetto. Trey said in our comments, being grown only means paying bills. I mean, it's a few other things that come with that, but I'm definitely with you on the paying bills part. That's a definite in being grown. Definite. One of the
Let me ask a quick question. Can I ask a quick question? Yeah. So being grown only means paying bills. That's true. And speaking of the other things that come with it, I'll ask y'all, I asked all the viewers, what is like the one thing that's so annoying to you that you had no idea was like that until you got out on your own? I'll go first. Mine was having to figure out what to make for dinner every day. It drives me crazy. It's so different than just coming home and being like, oh, what you cook? Like, it drives me crazy.
That is a fact. And you know what's so crazy? That's why I think a lot of people in our generation eat a lot of takeout, because we don't understand the stress of knowing what to make the other, like every day something different. And don't have a picky eater as a kid. Like, Oh man, like your job is that much more stressful. And we didn't even realize that. Like it's so funny. And like when I sit and think about stuff like that, my hat goes off to people that are into fitness, that are really into their bike, that and they meal prep and stuff, because that is so stressful. Like I tell you, it's so stressful. It's hilarious how simple it is as far as like making dinner every night, and then at the same time, it's like what am I about to do tonight? So I think like that's a good one. For me, I would say being an adult, like my one thing that I didn't kind of expect, or that kind of was like, what the heck, was money management. I think that when I was so used to spending my parents' money, that when it was just my money, like not any of their help, it was all mine, and I had to pay car insurance, pay a car note, pay this, pay that, and I think at that very moment it was like, wait, like I don't get no, like that's it. Like once it hits zero, like I'm just broke. like the car just gonna stop. Like so I think for me, like that was the one, like that whole my own money stuff. It was crazy. Like in the comments, I want to hear yours too. Like what was your heck? I did not expect this. Like being an adult, and then also having. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. No, I was about to say mine was laundry. I cannot believe I had to do my own laundry. Like when I said my mother faithfully did my laundry, no problem. Even to this day, like I'd be so excited when she said, "You want me to do your laundry?" Like, yes, please do my laundry. Like I hate doing laundry. I never really realized how much I hated doing laundry until I moved on my own. And now I'm all the way in Maryland, she Connecticut. I'm like, who's gonna do my laundry? I can't stand it.
See, listen, I mean, you got to get a husband that love to do laundry.
I mean, the thing about laundry is it never ends because you're always wearing something that then is dirty and then you have to wash it again.
That's a fact. And then you become up, and don't be one of those grown that don't want to do laundry, so you just buy more clothes, because you know what that means? More laundry. Take more laundry.
Yeah.
So, like, look at all of these shocking things that came with adulthood. Like one of the things that kind of stuck out to me that Tiffany said was she got this moment where it was like, oh snap, like this is happening, like I'm really here and this is really some BS. Right? Cam, what was that moment like for you, like where you was like, wait, I don't know if I like what the heck is going on right now?
What was my moment? Honestly, when I figured out the whole, it's kind of like what you said about the paying bills and things like that, and it's your money, and then once it's gone, it's gone. I think once I realized, like, okay, when they take taxes out of your paychecks and stuff like that, it's like money just goes so quick, and there's no. That's it. I think it's what you said. For me, that's what it was. That's really what it was. And after college, moving out and having your own place and everything like that, and you have all these different bills and just all of it, bills.
Bills is it. That's the one, right? That's the one. And I always think of this video that I saw, this video or meme or whatever you want to call it, where it was like, my paycheck go this fast, and it was a raccoon holding ice in his hands, and somebody poured water on it, and it just slipped right through. Like that's how I think about money as an adult. Like you, like yo, I just got paid. Like what the heck just happened? Nay said in our comments, when I first moved out, I did not expect to pay my bills. I thought being a grown up, I was gonna be living a high life. Like I was gonna get this car, I was gonna have this, I was gonna have all this money left over, not even realizing how much it took to do that, right? So now you become an adult and you like, yo, I'm working all these hours, I'm doing all of this, I'm doing all this just to live, like just to do the regular stuff I was doing at my parents' house for free, right? So it's so much different. And then Hannah said in our comments, sometimes I really like having to drive all the time. Driving is one of those things. I always tell this story. I remember when I first got my driver's license. Tell people like, bro, I'll drive to Philly just to get a cheesesteak, like just because you know I'm driving. I got it. I remember telling somebody I'll drive a school bus if somebody gave it to me. I don't care what my car looked like. But now being an adult, it's like drive where, what? I got to take you home. Like I got to take all of y'all home. Like, nah, this is a bit too much. Y'all being real ghetto. Like I don't like this. Right. So that's definitely one of those things that I can definitely say sticks out for me. And I really want to make sure that like in the context of this conversation, right? So yes, we're talking about being an adult, right? But we're talking about that in the context of leaving the nest, right? So Tiffany, you're a parent. Have you thought about what it's going to be like when your daughter becomes an adult? Has that thought crossed your mind yet, her to become her own person at some point? And do you have a date on that where you're going to say, okay, it's going to be great?
So for me, I definitely thought about it. I know for sure I don't want Grace to make the same mistakes. You know, what I did differently compared to my parents is like right now I'm trying to like have like savings accounts ready for her. I'm trying to like make sure when she gets to a certain age, you know, her credit is going to be a certain way. Make sure my credit is good so that way her credit could be good. And so because I don't know if she's going to listen to me. So just like I chose not to listen to my mother when I first left. So just in case she does go down that route, I want to be able to have like good backup plans. Like, you know, since I've been in the medical field, I've been around a lot of cultures and I see what they've done differently with their kids. And I see how a lot of them were raised. So I want to take like what I learned from them and kind of like bring it into my home. You know, it's different from what I had, but it definitely seems to work. So I want to make sure I have certain things prepared, you know, and I make sure I'm going to talk to her early if that is the route she want to go, because I'm more of a free spirit kind of parent. Like I'm not going to say, hey, you need to go to college, hey, this is what you have to do, but I want to make sure I'm able to support her plan, and you know, we do it correctly, we do it efficiently. So that's what it is for me. So I'm hoping my baby want to stay home. You know, I'm all for my baby staying home right now. I'm telling her like, you know, you're going to go to college, you're going to go on campus. She's like, no, Mom, I'm going to stay home with you forever. And I'm like, yeah, you say that until you turn 16. We'll see if it's the same thing. But, you know, I'm hoping that, you know, she stays home. You know, she goes to school, start a business, she saves, and then moves correctly instead of, like, having to make so many mistakes in order to get the correct place, you know, like I did. Like, I want to be able to be her lesson. Like, she see, like, Mommy did this, and I don't want to do the same thing. I want to be better than Mommy, or I want to have more than Mommy. You know, so that's the goal, and I pray about it all the time, because I do see a lot of kids like me, like, oh, I just want to leave, I'm ready to go, like, oh, Mom, I want to leave when I'm 18, because some kids want to leave and some parents push them out. So you know, it could go either way. I know I'm not pushing her out; she can stay with me, but you know, of course, if she wants to leave, you know, I want to be prepared.
Right. And the good thing is like you said, like she can look at all of those things and say, okay, this is what you did wrong. I'm not going to make that mistake. But now as parents or as role models, so to say, right, even if we're not a parent, even as role models, if we position ourselves to now do great things and do it in front of them, involve them in it, now that might be the inspiration they need to say, okay, you know what, I'm going to do this, right? So I think a lot of people from where I come from, right, regardless of if it's Brooklyn, Queens, or somewhere out in a different state, like I'm not from the burbs, right? I'm just going to put that out there, like I'm not from the burbs. A lot of people that are from where I'm from, you learn a lot from what people did wrong, right? And now I think that we're all in a position now where we can do the right thing and then have the people that look up to us follow that, right? And I think that that'll also be more positive, because I think when you create a struggle to get out of, like when struggle is your motivation, even when you get to a place of prosperity, internally in your mind, you'll create another struggle for yourself, because that's what motivates you. So I really like that you said, you know, first and foremost, I'm an entrepreneur. You know, I work, I do this, I also do this, because now she's seeing that, and these are things that she can say, okay, you know what, I want to do this when I get older. So I personally think she'll be in a great place, you know, in my opinion. And Cam, for you, when you look at um upbringing and when do they leave the nest and things of that sort, and you being somebody who was never actually like pushed out of the nest, but we hear a lot of people say like, oh, you know, black parents this and they kick their kids out and we got to go out there and struggle. And then you hear people say things on the flip side like, well, other cultures don't do that. They all, you know, band together and they put, you know, this and this together and they all prosper, you know, into something greater. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, so I had a neighbor 3 doors down. It was an Asian family. I think they were Chinese, and they had like 4, 5 generations living in one house, like since I was a kid. And you know, his dad and my dad were pretty cool. And he would always say, like, I don't understand why people kick their kids out, not even just their kids, kick their kids out, kick their parents out when they're older, things like that. Because and their mentality is, you know, you keep people around and everybody kind of serves a purpose. And once, you know, your kids are ready to leave, they will. And when I say ready, that covers a whole lot. Mentally, you know, financially, emotionally, they will. And for a lot of people, it's like a lot of parents will say their goal is to have their kids be able to take care of themselves. And once they can take care of themselves, then later in life, if they need help being taken care of, they can take care of them. And it's like a whole cycle. So I do feel like other cultures at times handle that whole dynamic better. But I won't say like it's a lot of Black people. It's a lot of us that, you know, our parents don't kick us out. Like, you know, they let us leave when they're ready. And sometimes people never leave. It's just depends on the family, depends on the dynamic, depends on the person. But I feel like as long as you're being productive, you know, and you can take care of yourself, why kick them out for what? I don't. When I have kids, like I kick them out for what?
Right. And I always think about that, right? When I see those situations where people are being kicked out or it's like, all right, you're this age, it's time for you to go. Like for me, the mindset is like, what's the purpose? In that person's mind, like, what do you think is gonna happen if you say, okay, it's time for you to go? Did you take into account if your child has a job? Did you take into account how much your child is getting paid? Did you take into account the housing market, right? And not when I say housing, I don't mean like buying a house, but even as far as rent, right? Like, let's just be completely honest. If you live in a major city like New York City, where the heck can you pay rent with one income? Unless you have an amazing job, right? So I'm saying like, or not even just amazing, but you make more than the average person. But if you make minimum wage in a major city, where can you pay rent? So now you take this kid, let's say at 18 years old, right? Just to give it some context, you take a kid at 18 years old, no college degree, no work experience, so they're gonna be making the bare minimum, and you tell them to pay rent, which is probably 3 times as much as what they get paid monthly. How is that going to work? Like, what did you expect was going to happen, right? So now you force them to struggle. You force them to get into different things, um, and it's just rough, right? I think it's just a rough situation. I know, for me personally, I've had friends who have even been kicked out prior to that. You know, 15, 16 years old, having to figure it out on their own. And you go through a lot in that time period that kind of scars you, like growing up and stuff like that. So, Tiffany, did you ever encounter anyone in high school or maybe in your younger 20s where it was like this person has been on their own a really, really long time, and you can tell that it kind of did something to them psychologically?
So, I mean, as far as that, I want to say no, but I have seen a lot of like people that I know go through so many things. Like I've seen people get kicked out of their homes. I've seen people get kicked out at 18 and their parents was just like, "All right, well, it's time for you to get it together." And I sometimes I really couldn't understand it. I wasn't sure like if it was the culture. I wasn't sure what it was, just because I haven't seen it at home. So sometimes they would tell me like, or like I'll even have friends who will have to come over and sleep at my house because they got kicked out of their home. So I've seen a lot, and it definitely showed me, one, how blessed I was, and I just wanted to be there to help my friend, and I just couldn't understand sometimes why someone would get kicked out of their home so young who had nothing, because some people I knew had nothing, no job, no nothing. So how did their parents expect us to survive out in the streets? But yeah, I did see it a lot, and I never understood it. But I just try to be there, be like a good friend, and be there as much as I can to help support
Right.
them.
Right. And last episode, episode 20, we talked about homelessness in America. I think that that's one of the causes of homelessness, right? When you think about people who have been on their own, and we talked about young people or adolescents being homeless. And if you missed that conversation, you guys can go back and watch that, after this. But it's crazy to think that that could possibly be a reason or something that starts chronic homelessness, because now it makes more sense on how someone can be homeless chronically. Like, you get a place, lose a place, get a place, because you've never been shown how to sustain somewhere to stay. So I definitely agree with you on that. Natalie said in our comments, do you think it's hard to build a relationship with someone who comes from parents who feel or felt the opposite about this topic? And so I guess I'll ask both of you guys this question, and also you guys in the comments. So if you're somebody who your parents say, okay, you can stay as long as you need to, I'm never going to kick you out. Or if you're somebody who your parents were like, listen, it's time for you to hit the bricks, right? Do you think that it's possible, Cam, for you to build a relationship with somebody who's had parents or been in the environment that's opposite to the one that you've been in?
Absolutely. I think it's definitely possible to have a strong relationship with somebody who has a different upbringing in that way. I would say I've actually been in this situation a few times in my life with people that I've dated. And I would say on the positive side, what it does do is I feel like both people can bring something different to the table. They have different strengths and different experiences. So when those two experiences and strengths come together, I think it can make like a really solid relationship, because you have this person who might have unfortunately had to leave their home before they were ready, which caused them struggle. But on the flip side of that, when you go through things, you become stronger. And then you have this other person where they had more time to develop. So maybe some of their, how do I say, they have strengths that the other person might not have, or have understandings and can kind of guide them, and they can help each other. So I think definitely it can create some conflict sometimes, because I think it goes both ways. I think people can judge you based off of what experiences you've had, or possibly opportunities you've had. But I think as far as like communicating and things like that, I think it gives a good opportunity for you guys to build off of each other.
Right, right. And I really like the idea that you can be judged from that, right? So Tiffany, I'll direct this to you, and then Cam, you can chime in if you'd like. A lot of times when and I don't know when this started in life, but it's like a struggle contest, right? Like, you ain't have it harder than me because I've been through this. You don't know nothing about life because you ain't been through this. Like, what are your thoughts on that, Tiffany? And maybe being judged because you may not have gone through something that maybe your counterpart has gone through, or maybe even just like friends or people around you.
Yeah, I feel like with that, because I was in a relationship with my daughter's father, and that's kind of like something we always had an argument about when it came to like just one raising grace, and then just also on life. And I just feel like as long as someone is willing to listen and and help you through that, like, you should be able to tell me about your struggle, and we should be able to not recreate that struggle. We should be able to communicate about it and get through it, because at the end of the day, we're all going to come from different kind of backgrounds, we're all going to come from different experiences, but it's like what those experiences could do to bring us together. And I feel like that's the most important part. Just because you came from a worse struggle doesn't mean you don't deserve to be at the top, or you don't deserve to be where I am. you know, let me help you get there. And as long as someone I feel like is willing to learn, you know, and is willing to just, you know, accept what they went through and now move forward, to have a better life, you know, those type of conversations shouldn't always have to be a thing, if that
Right.
makes sense. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, because at the end of the day, yeah, I may feel like what I went through was really bad. You may feel like what you went through was really, really bad. And I could feel like what you went through was nothing serious at all compared to you may feel like what I went through wasn't nothing big at all. But instead of thinking that way, it's just like, let's come together and just figure out what can we do to be better. What can we do to move forward? What can we do to make things greater? Because even when it comes to grace, like me and my daughter's father, we would have disagreements, but it's just like, okay, well, my parents showed me this and your parents showed me that. What can we do? What can we do to meet in the middle so that way Grace could be successful? So Grace could be great. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, it shouldn't have to always be like, well, I want to do this because this is what I was taught. Yeah, but you seem a little crazy, so why not try to meet me where I'm at? Because I'm a little calm because my parents raised me like this, you know. So like, it's definitely more communicating. It's definitely more accepting. It's definitely more taking it to time to get over those humps. Because that's what, we're not there anymore. We got each other. So what we gonna do now? You know what I'm saying? So,
And I like the idea of saying, okay, well, this is how you was raised. You know, similar to what Cam said earlier. This is how you were raised. This is how I was raised. You have a certain set of skills. I have a certain set of skills. We can take those skills and put it together, and now, you know, go forward with that. So, one of the things that I want to ask you guys before we get out of here, and I'll start with you. What are 3 things as a parent that you think that parents or guardians or you know, whatever the situation is, because a lot of people, for whatever reason, don't live with their parents, or you know, you might have had a loss, or you might be staying with a aunt or uncle, or you know, whatever the situation. But as that person in a child's life, what are 3 things that you would say that you would look for to say, like, okay, my kid is ready? What are 3 things that you would say, okay, I'm trying to prepare my child to be able to do these things, so I know that when it's time to get up out of here, like, you're gonna be all right?
So maybe in no particular order, I think one thing that you brought up earlier that you said was a struggle for you at first, I think money management. I think that's huge. I don't know why they don't really teach it in school, like grade school like that, but definitely money management, because it doesn't matter what you're making. If you don't know how to manage your money, it's not going to matter.
Right. You make $1 million and spend 999,000.
That's what I'm saying. Right? It's Jay-Z, I feel like, does a good job of like throwing lessons in there about money management all the time, saying like you can't afford to buy it twice and you can't afford it, stuff like that. So money management. Number 2, I would say how to make appointments. And that goes for like doctor's appointments, how to call your maintenance guy and tell him what's going on, if something's going on in your apartment, just like everyday things that need to get done, how to talk to people, tell them what you need and figure out a solution. I don't know what you would call that as a whole, but that.
Right. But I want to ask you guys in the comments real quick, how many of you guys called your mother when you was grown, was like, Ma, what number I call for the doctor so I could what I gotta do to
and what do I say? How do I say it?
Right, like how I say that, right? Like how many of us like did that when it was time for us to, like, you know, go out and be grown? I'm not going to talk about women in the cars, because I know a lot of y'all still call your dads like, Dad, it's a little smoke coming out of it. Do I still drive it? I think I could drive it. It's a little fire on it, but I think I could drive it, Dad. Like, what you think? Like, so I know that, but I think a lot of us still called our parents for a lot right after the house. But all right, Cam, so that was number 2. Number 3?
Number 3. Can I just say how to cook for yourself? I don't know. If you don't eat, you're going to die. So I don't know.
Right. That's a fact. Natalie said in our comments, people will call their mom and ask them how many pills to take when it say take 2 on the bottle. It say take 2. Mom, how many of these Tylenol I'm supposed to take when I got a headache? And they said in our comments, nope. Only thing I'm calling my mother about is cooking. And I know her mother personally. I'm telling you, she be putting her toe jammies in that food. So I understand why. Only thing I'm calling my mom about is cooking. And I'm telling you, cooking is so crucial because a lot of us grew up eating finger food. My dad calls our generation microwave babies. So when it's time to actually put something on the stove, a lot of us be struggling. Hannah said in our comments, another thing to learn is how to negotiate bill payment, like lowering your bill or avoiding late fees. Come on, Hannah, come through with the gems. I'm telling you, I thought if I ain't have it, just don't pay it. That's how I got in debt in the first place. Now I do just want to say I'm debt free right now, right? Because I learned, I paid that stuff off. Yeah, I know. Student loans, Sally Mae won't get me.
That's what I'm talking
So,
about, Trey.
you know, I'm debt free right now, but that's how I got in debt in the first place, right? Like not understanding how to negotiate. I didn't know I can call them or most people and say, okay, can I make an arrangement? This is what I want to do. Can I lower this down? Like, can I take this off my cable package? You know what? I really don't watch HBO like that. Like, I didn't know nothing about that. So that was a gem, Hannah. I like that one. So Tiffany, for you, like, what are three things, right, that you would say, okay, these three things I need my kids to know how to do, you know, so I know internally I feel comfortable when it's time for them to leave the nest. And all of you guys in the comments, put your three things in there because I know a lot of you guys are mothers, fathers. So put those three things in there. If you're watching at a later date or listening at a later date, I want to hear what you guys think because the object of this podcast is not to get the perfect opinion, but it's to get everybody's opinion. We all learn from each other, right? So you guys put those three things in there so we can see, you know, so we can all learn. So Tiffany, what are your three?
So I would say one of them I have to consistency. Like I have to see that my daughter can be consistent. So that would show me that she'll be consistent with her bills, consistent with her rent, consistent with her life, you know, and just consistent with taking care of herself. You know, I want to make sure she can, you know, handle her money correctly. Because, you know, sometimes we get tired of paying bills and we'll just be like, you know what, freaking, I'm going to go to Jamaica and not pay my rent this month because I want to go out so bad. But, you know, I want her to, you know, I'm hoping that she understands that you have to be consistent with certain stuff because it's going to only help you in the long run. So I definitely say consistency. Let me see, what else can I think of? Just her maturity. Like I need to see how mature you are, how you handle certain situations. You know, when you're down, how do you handle this? You know, when you're up, how do you handle this? I wanna be able to see how much of her emotion she can control because at the end of the day, you know, you don't know how someone is going to talk to you on the phone when it comes to bills, or you don't know how your landlord is going to treat you. You know, I want to be able to like see if she can, you know, handle certain things. And what would be the other thing? Yeah, and cooking and laundry, because you know I've been in the kitchen with my mother since I was little, throwing adobo and sazon on everything. So I want to make sure she's like following my lead. She can cook, she can survive. Because if she decides to go to college, I want to make sure she, you know, she ain't starving herself. You know, and if she decides to get her own place, I want to make sure, you know, she's able to, you know, cook and, you know, fend for herself. So yeah,
Right.
I would say those.
And a lot of people in our comments, like we all kind of have the same theme and like consistency, money management, right? Kia in our comments said money management. Melissa in our comments, she said money management, credit, and being responsible financially. So I just want to let you guys know right now, I'm not in the nest. I'm not in the nest anymore, right? Melissa is my mother. She did not teach me about money management. The only thing she told me about credit cards was how to spend it.
Dang.
No, I'm just messing with her. She did a great job in showing me all of these things. When I talk to you guys about money management, credit, being responsible financially, I learned a lot from her and also my dad because, like Tiffany said, at a certain time, you make a lot of mistakes. So I learned from their mistakes and they, you know, showed me what not to do. And then we live in an age where information is so available. So I learned, you know, a little bit more on my own, but definitely they were definitely the basis for me as far as like information and money management, credit, being responsible financially. He also said in our comment, money management, how to articulate yourself, and most importantly, being independent as you won't have to depend on anyone else. And I think that
Yeah,
that's so important. when we talk about leaving the nest, like we as adults don't want to have to dependent on someone else. We want to be self-sufficient, and that's what we want for our kids. Especially being a dad, you know, you don't want that for your daughter, right? Not saying that you want it for your sons, but my dad always, he has this theory where he says, like, you know, as a man, nobody's going to take care of you, but you might find somebody that will take care of your sister, right? Or you might, the state is a little bit more likely to take care of your sister than they are of you, right? So even in senses like that, like, you don't want your child to be dependent on the state. You don't want them to be dependent on a man. You don't want them to be dependent on a woman, because anything somebody gives you, they can take from you. And that's the last thing that you want for your kids. So I definitely agree with you on being independent. And they also said that in our comments, like, dependency, very important. I'm with y'all wholeheartedly. Being independent, Natalie said in our comments, being independent was always drilled into me. Natalie's my sister. So like I said, my dad was not with it. Like, he was like, you're not going to depend on nobody but me. Right. And that's what we want for our kids. We don't want them to have to depend on anybody but us. So I'll ask you guys the magical question, right? Question of the hour. When do you kick these mofos out? When they gotta go? When you kicking them out, Cam? When you kicking them out?
Honestly, and I think your dad said this in the comments a little while ago. Only if they're disrespectful. If you're disrespecting the house, you gotta go. But other than that, I mean, like I said, if they're being productive or whatever the case, you know, you want them to be able to, somebody said at 6, you want them to be able to fend for themselves. So you don't want to hold them back or coddle them. But for me, it's like, as long as you're respecting me, respecting the house, I don't have a set time.
Yeah. I like that. As long as you respecting the house. I saw a comment on one of the videos I posted a little earlier about this topic, and I was like, so when do you kick the kids out, right? And one of my sister's good friends, she commented on the video, and she was like, you kick them out when they start putting their name on stuff in the refrigerator, like the OJ and the milk. When you start putting your name on stuff, it's time for you to go, right? And then, you know, my response to that was, at that point, you need your own refrigerators. I guess it might be time for you to go when you start putting your name on stuff. And Nay said in our comments, applying to Key, how to articulate yourself. That's the one. I think that's articulating yourself is very undervalued. Like, very, very, very undervalued. And I heard one of the motivational speakers that I listen to a lot, he was saying that, you know, it's no disrespect from where you come from, what kind of accent that you have, or whatever type of lingo that y'all use, but you can't make big bucks in certain areas or job fields when you say things like ambulance, right? when you say things like refrigerator, you know, like, you get what I'm saying? Like, and it's not to say that these things are wrong. It's not to say that you have to abandon these things. Like, when I'm at home, like when I'm at a family function, anybody that's on here knows that when I'm at a family function, my verbiage is not as clear as it is now. I might use a term like ambulance. I might say, pass me the remote control. Pass me the remote control. Like, when I get over here and I talk to my son, I might say, pass me the remote control. But believe that my son knows that it's called a remote control. You get what I'm saying? Like, these things, because people judge you off the way that you speak, right? When it's time for you to come and sit down in front of someone, it's time for you to come and sit down in front of a group of people, sit in front of a corporation, sit in front of a business partner, somebody that you're trying to partner with. The first thing that they look at past your appearance is the way that you articulate yourself, right? Even if somebody walk up to you, women, put this in the comments. Let me know what y'all think, right? If a guy walk up to you like, you feel me? Right? He do all that sound. You feel me? You're gonna be looking like, what? What?
No thanks.
Like, what did you say? Right? And it's not to say that you have to change your verbiage because you got to be a different person. No, it's a skill. being able to speak is a skill, right? You have to exercise certain skills in certain places. At the end of the day, like I play basketball, right? I do. That's what I do. I hoop. I love it. I teach. I train basketball. As you guys can see, Kingdom Hoops apparel is available in my DM. But like that's what I do, right? But everywhere I go, I don't walk around dribbling the ball. You have certain skill for certain spaces. Like I'm not gonna bring a basketball to a football field. Like you have certain skills for certain spaces. So when we say that you have to be able to articulate yourself, teach your kids how to articulate themselves. It's not about them being different or oh nah, they don't know where they came, they acting funny. No, I have to exercise this skill, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sorry, y'all. Yeah. You know, like I'm sorry. I know I just went on a little rant. But yeah,
it's okay. Speak on it. You're speaking facts.
You know, that grammar is so important to me because when I started increasing my vocabulary, I got judged a lot. Right. So I guess that hit a little string for me. Like people would tell me like, oh, you acting funny. Oh, he different now. Like, oh, you some funny type. Like, no, I'm learning how to speak, bro. Like I need more money, and people definitely treat you different when you speak well. So teaching your children how to articulate themselves, I'm with that 110%. So Tiffany, what's your 3?
No, I agree 100% because you know I can switch my voice up real quick. I can get real proper and then I can get real ghetto. It all depends on where I'm at, where I'm going, and you know I try to teach my daughter the same thing because sometimes when she's getting a little crazy, I'm like, we ain't gonna be doing all of that, not in this type of setting. So she's starting to understand like she can behave certain ways in different places depending on you know when she's going. When she's around family, she can let loose and be herself, you know. But when we out in the doctor's office or an appointment or mom handling business, she knows to be very like calm.
Exactly.
And, you know, so I definitely agree with what you're saying.
I'm telling you, and my mother, she would say it a little different, right? Like, so you see how you was like, yeah, at home, she knows she could be wild and free. In the doctor's office, she could, you know, hey, sit up straight, relax, you know what I mean? Put them shoulders up, hold your chest up high. Mm-hmm. My mother, this is not a playground, okay? This is not a playground. My mother, it was, this is not a playground, and you better not embarrass me in here. You better not embarrass me in here, man. Stand up straight, act like you got some home training, right? So you better not embarrass me.
I've seen that before. That what you just said, I've seen it before. Not to put anybody on blast, but I've seen that before. That's where that comes from.
Listen, Linda. Listen, Linda. You know too much. No, I'm kidding. But Key said in our comments, I'm Keisha outside, I'm Keisha at work. So yeah, it'd be like that. It definitely be like that. So now, Tiffany, what do you have an age right now? Where it's like
I don't have an age. I'm definitely want to support my daughter's decisions. You know, I'm gonna talk to her as much as I can. I don't care if she don't want to hear it, because my mother said the same thing. I know you don't want to hear it, but I'm gonna tell you anyways. You know, I'm gonna be the same way. You know, but what I'm gonna do differently is I'm not gonna do a more of a I told you so. It's more of a all right, baby, what can we do to make it better? All right, you did this mistake. What we gonna do now? Because at the end of the day, life keeps moving forward. So, you know, I got to make sure I just continue to support her. But, you know, I mean, I don't want her in my house at 40 still. But, you know, we want to at least be a decent age, you know, stuff when she start pushing towards, you know, 30s. If she's still at home, like, all right, baby, what we doing? You know, keep having
40 years.
You know, I ain't kicking you out, but, you know.
40 years. Right.
So, it's definitely a conversation. You know, 18 is just way too early. You know, I worked in pediatrics for a very long time, and the mind is not there. Even at 21 and 22, you still have so much growing to do as a person.
Let's really keep it real, Tiff. Did you feel grown at that? Like, when did you start? Like, I thought I was grown at 18. I would tell people like, yo, I'm grown. Then at 21, I felt even growner. I think at 23, that's when it hit me. Like, yo, you really not that grown, bro.
Not grown at all. It's not until I had a kid, turning almost 23. It's just like, no, this is not it. Like I'm not, like I'm still young. Like my, and if you really notice how much your mentality changes as you get older, from 19 to like 23, from like 23 to like 26, 27, from 28 to 30, it's you're changing your mind, and you know your thinking changing so much. It's like, what do we really know? Like we really didn't know anything. Like we really thought
Right.
we knew so much. Like even the office I work at now, I work at a GYN clinic, and I tell the girls, like, listen, no, let's go travel. I want you to get a business. I want you to get yourself together, and then you can, you know, you can have a baby, do whatever you want later on in life. But you know, your main focus should be like happiness. You know, getting to your goals. You know, I swear I'm everybody's parent. I'm like, I don't even know who I am anymore because I'm like everybody's mother now. Because I'm like talking to them, like, yeah, get a business, go to school, whatever you want to do it first, and then you worry about babies, and then you worry about all these other stuff. But like, you're still young, like.
Right.
I'm still learning. I'm 32.
Being grown is not even what you think it is. Like it's a bunch of hidden stuff that you didn't even know. Like I'm gonna be honest with you, my dad to this day make being a grown up look so easy. Like, and it really
Yo, they made
like
it flawless. Between
really
your
boggles
parents and
my
my
mind.
parents, flawless. Like I
I'm,
never understood. That's why we thought it was so easy. We like,
I'm
oh, we
telling
got
you,
this.
it boggles my mind. Like he make it look so. My mom too, right? Like my mom and my dad, they make being grown just look so easy. Like what
That's
do
the
you mean
biggest
you been?
compliment.
Like it's like, yo, what do you mean you've been out of work for a year and all your bills is paid and you just bought a Prada bag? Like, wait, what? How are you doing this?
Right.
How are you doing this? Like, what's going
Right.
on right now? And that it always reminds me, and I always talk about this book whenever I get the chance. Things I wish I'd known before I got married. Right. And one of the chapters was, I wish I had known that somebody has to clean the toilet. Right. And it's just so hilarious because like when you grow up, like certain things, I was always taught I personally believe the proper way to clean the toilet. Some people only clean the front. You know that little back area, like especially if you got guys in the house, you gotta get up and clean that, right? And then somebody was saying like, yo, like, we was married for some time, and then I realized it just wasn't clean, and then she realized it just wasn't clean, and then we both looking at each other like, and nobody realized that somebody was doing this the whole time, like, and that was the way that this was like getting done. So like I always think about that when it comes to being grown. Like, dad, I never realized that I had to do this, 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 and this. I just thought I had to go to work, and it was just like
Right. It's
it's crazy.
the little things
I'm
Yeah.
telling
you
you,
don't pay attention
it's
to. Laundry, cooking,
Yeah.
cleaning the toilet, cleaning the tub. Like,
telling
you
you. And
Yeah.
mom, clean the tub before you get in. Now you're looking at like, oh my god, I gotta clean this tub. It look crazy.
right. And my pet peeve right now as an adult is the inside of the toilet. Like, so take that scrub brush and get in there, please. Like, I do not want to feel like I'm going to a truck stop. Like, I don't like that stuff. Um,
Yeah.
and we got a few comments. It says, I'm 33 and I'm still not grown. Adulting is for the birds. I'm with you on that one. Hannah said in our comments, being grown is realizing how much you didn't know. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
And Nate said in our comments, cleaning the sink after you brush your teeth. I'm telling you, that toothpaste come on,
Mm.
clean that, bro. Clean that. You could get that.
In the mirror, get the mirror too.
The mirror.
I'm
All
Oh
you
yes.
spit all in the mirror.
Listen, them dirty mirror pics ain't cool no more. Like, especially if your outfit is not like it, like them dirty mirror pics. Just clean it. Like it takes two. It don't take that long. Just clean that joint real quick. And just thinking about that, like all of the little things that we didn't know, like before we became adults and being thrusted out into the world and kind of having to feel like, all right, I got to figure it out, right? One of the things that Nate said in our comments, and I'll end with this here, is we have to take into consideration what our kids want to do. And me as a parent, that's one of the things that I think about. I personally don't have a time frame on when either one of my kids have to leave. Like there's never a point where they have to leave. But one of the things that I'm going to take into consideration is what they want to do. Like, what do I have to do to prepare them for that, right? Because I can say, I want you to learn this, but my son may want to be a professional Ninja Turtle. He may not want to be an accountant, right? And if he want to be a professional Ninja Turtle, I need to figure out where those classes is at and how he can be the best Ninja Turtle there is, right? But sometimes as parents, we put what we want on our kids, and we don't allow them to be who they are. And sometimes I think even when we talk about people being pushed out too early or even staying back too late, we're hindering them because we're putting our ideology on them. Saying, okay, you should stay or you should go. In all actuality, well, what do you want to do? What is it that you want to be? And how can I help you get there? Whether that entails you staying a little longer so you can do X, Y, and Z, or maybe you want to be an actress and you need to, or an actor, and you need to move to LA, right? Even though you don't need to move to LA to be an actor, but that's the, that's just for the, hypothetically speaking. But even if you want to do that, right, that might entail you going. So I really agree with that. Like, I think as role models, as parents, we really have to keep that in mind. What does my kid want to do? Because I wish somebody would have asked me that. And I think that would have made that much more of a difference when it comes to staying and going, right? I need to stay a little longer. I need to go a little longer. I need to, figure these things out. So I'm definitely with that 100, 110%.
1,000%.
Right. Melissa said in our comments, stack your dough while you living with your parents. Listen, that's the one. If you live, if you 30, 25, 23, 21, 18, if you have your own income and you stay with your parents, that income that you got, I promise you, your landlord want all of that. So before you have a landlord, save that, because you got a lot more money than you think. It seems like you don't have enough money to save, but then when you got to give it to somebody else, you got a lot more money than you think. So if you're able to stay with somebody and not pay anything, kids, young people, save your money.
Yeah, give a little bit. Give a little bit to show your parents you appreciate them and help them out, because at the end of the day, they have their own bills.
That's a fact.
Save your money and definitely, let mama know, like, yeah, ma, I got you. You don't got to give
Do
it all.
a little something.
Do a little something. They got their own bills at the end of the day, but definitely.
A little something.
Mm-hmm.
A little something.
And along with the finances, if you are home, a part of being productive, aside from saving money so you can do more when you're ready to leave, is helping out. Don't just be home and just be home. Like, help out. It's your household too,
That's a fact. Just because you live in a house and you're not used to paying bills, I'm sorry, we ain't gonna do this for too much longer, but I do feel the need to elaborate on that one. Just because you stay in a house that you have never paid bills in for however many amount of years it is, does not mean that you do not need to contribute to that house as an adult. When I say contribute, I don't mean buy a roll of tissue. I mean, you might need to pay the cable bill. You watch it the most. And that's okay. Like, nobody's doing you wrong if you have to pay the cable bill. You up on that PS4 all night. You can pay the light bill, bro. You can pay the light bill. And nobody's doing you wrong, because now when it's time for you to do it yourself, you're going to have to pay the light bill, the gas bill. So you just taking something, one, to be productive. We all have to be productive in society, not just in the house, but it starts in the house. So stay home, stack your money, but help out. And it's not something that's a wrongdoing, because you guys all, especially if you're one of those kids that feel like you've grown. If you grown, let's be grown together. Share these grown bills. Right? Let's share these grown bills. They said in our comments, definitely help them out, or you're going to fall in this category of getting out of the nest. That's a fact. Get kicked right out the nest. Get in the boot. They don't care if you can fly or not. He is out of here. He out. So yes. So that right there wraps up A Better Me Equals a Better We, episode 21. When do the kids leave the nest? Me personally, let them stay, unless they gotta go. Unless they get kicked out the nest, right? Now, I'm just joking. Don't kick a kid out the nest, right? I'm just joking. Cam, do you have anything for our viewers before we head out?
I really enjoyed this tonight. Again, you're doing such an amazing job. Keep doing it. And next time you ask me, I will show up again.
it gets me excited every time somebody say that, because every time somebody say that, I be wanting to have y'all on every Tuesday. Like, hey, Tuesday, I'm gonna call you and stuff, but then I'm gonna have to put you on payroll, and I can't afford it.
Sorry.
Hey, oh, ooh, eagles push their kids out the nest. I don't know. That's a little. I like that. That's a little spicy. It's a little
Yeah.
spicy. I think in some cases that works. I think it's very situational though. I think it's very, very, let me show that comment so y'all can see that. I think it's very situational. Yeah, but I definitely like that comment. In some cases you gotta get a little push to succeed, because some people need that little nudge. I know a few people that need that little nudge. So it definitely be like that.
But you
Tip,
got to remember, they still learning how to fly. So you got to be that support system for them. Like, still be there to support them and guide them and help them. You know, just don't just dismiss them and push them away and push them out and disregard their feelings. You know, they're learning. They're trying to pack those wings. They're trying to get up there in the air. But, you know, sometimes we fall a little bit, you know, and just be their support, you know.
so Tiffany, you got anything for our viewers before we head out?
Yeah, just like, you know, teach your kids to be better than you. You know, never be jealous. Teach them to be better. Teach them more. Even when they're not listening, they listening, because I'm definitely a witness of that. I used to act like I didn't hear anything. But, you know, definitely keep talking to them and keep being there for them and supporting them. And, you know, support their dreams, their wishes. And, you know, and go from there. You know, no more I told you so. More so, okay, baby, what we doing differently? How we going to move past this? You know.
Yeah. I really love this conversation so much. I feel like this is going to be one of those episodes I'm going to have to bring back, because we touched this on a very surface level. But reading these comments now, I really, really, really feel the need to do this again and just be just a tad bit more. We got to dive really into it.
Let's dive. I'm ready to
Yeah, we definitely going to have to run this back. So Cam, I'm going to let you know when we're doing this again, and we're going to run this thing back, right? We're going to circle the block up. How do young people say spin the block? We're going to have to spin the block, right? So we're going to do this one again. Next week's episode, right? This next week's episode, I want, if you're a woman and you have 3 friends, I need you to invite 3 friends. So Tiffany, I need you to invite 3 friends. Cam, I need you to invite 3 friends. Nay, I need you to invite 3 friends. Nikki, Natalie, I need everybody to invite, all of you women to invite 3 friends. All of the men that's watching, I need you to invite 3 friends. The reason why I want all of you guys to invite 3 friends, and I want everybody to be a part of this conversation, man and woman, next week's episode is going to be titled, Who is the Alpha in the House?
Ooh, I like that.
Who's the alpha in the house?
Like
we live in a society where, you know, we live in an independent woman society where women are independent. They can, you know, do for themselves and take care of themselves. But what happens if you have a man who can do the same thing? Now you guys have children. Who's the guy? Who's the guy? Right? Like who? And when I say the guy, not the man, I mean like who is the alpha? All packs have an alpha. That's my personal belief. I want to hear y'all opinion. All packs have an alpha. You look at wolves, you look at lions, anything. Everybody has an alpha. And I feel like we live in a society where women might want to be the alpha. You know, they don't want to be the beta. They want to be the big dog, right? So I want to hear what you guys have to say about it. I want as many opinions as possible, especially from the women. I especially want to hear what you guys want to say, because me as a guy, I've heard a lot of guys tell me that women don't want to let them be the alpha. They got to fight for supremacy. Like, so Natalie said in our comments, she's the alpha. That is, that's a good one. So I really you know, I really want to hear what you guys have to say about that. So next week, Tuesday, who is the alpha? Who's the alpha in the house? I want to hear what y'all got to say. All right.
be great.
I'm telling you. So before we get out of here, if you're watching and you haven't, make sure you like the Facebook page. I don't know what you're waiting on. We got all this great content that you just need to be alerted for when it comes out. Make sure you like the Facebook page so you can see the video when it comes up. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Everybody watch YouTube. I don't want to hear I be on Facebook. I don't be on YouTube. You be on YouTube. You watch the Crate Challenge. You be on YouTube. Subscribe
Not the
subscribe
Crate
on
Challenge.
YouTube. Subscribe on YouTube, right? And then if you don't want the visuals, if you just want to hear it, you could like and subscribe on Anchor. We on Spotify too. Like we moving. We moving. Get in tune.
Yes, Ray, do the thing.
Tap in. All right. So again, guys, that wraps up another episode of Better Me Equals a Better We podcast, episode 21. Super excited that you guys were able to join us. Make sure that you guys tune in next Tuesday at 8 p.m. so we can hear who the ladies and the men say who is the alpha in the house. Thank you so much for joining us, guys, and I will see you next week, Tuesday at 8 p.m. Good night.
Bye, everybody.
Night.